I hope we're all doing extremely well. I've got to sort this camera out already because it's absolutely doing my brain in. That's better. So look, guys, hope you're doing extremely well. This Tuesday, the 23rd of December, Christmas is nearly upon us. Of course, I'm gonna have to sort this camera out. It's doing my head in already. I've only been back for 5 minutes, and this camera is already doing my head in. Here we go. Here we go. Look, so welcome to the channel. I'm JB. If this is your first time, I hope you're doing extremely well. I've not been on it for a while because I've been away, and I tried to do the odd stream, but it was just man. I did watch the Aston Villa game. I wasn't able to do it live just because I was away, and just wasn't going to work. First thing to say, look, is get into this amazing community. It's very, very supportive community. Be respectful to the community. Be respectful to me. Be respectful to yourselves. Everyone will get on just fine. It is Christmas as well, so the season of goodwill to all people. So just be good. We don't mind the banter. I hope you're all doing extremely well. Otherwise, people like Nicaruzzi, legend of the chat, you will get banned. We don't know what to do, but it does happen. Second of all, to say, look, I'm not a dictator of this chat. This is why these shows take so long, is because I do genuinely read out your chat and get in your opinions. Like, there's so much stuff to talk about purely because I've not been around to talk about it, right? So, you know, there's so many things to talk about, and I'm going to have my opinion on. So, look, guys, let me know how you're doing. I'm just going to get my switch channels for a second. Nicaruzzi in the chat. Hey, JB, you handsome devil. Good to see you back in the UK. Nicaruzzi, thank you, my friend. You know, you flatter me far too much. Scott says, yes, JB. Scott, I hope you're doing extremely well, my friend. Look, guys, let me just get this. Let me just sort this out. Let's see how we're doing. Perfect. All good. Awesome. Yeah, so look, guys, I've missed this. I'm just going to say this. Like, I've missed this. You used to stream a couple of times a day, and yeah, I've got this camera. I'm sorry, this camera is absolutely doing my head in. Is that better? Yeah, it's much better. So look, where do we begin? There's plenty of things that I've seen, plenty of things that I've read when I've been away. I've been collating the notes and the things that I wanted to say. So look, Scott says, from what I've seen, Semenyo to United is off. And look, you know, let's get into that. I'll give you my opinions on that as well. And look, and I think there is some interesting. So Jackie says, it's my birthday. Happy birthday. 23rd of December, Christmas Eve. You know, I'm full of festive cheer because I've been to see Santa in his homeland, and it was amazing. So look, happy birthday! I got back late last night. I did plan to do a show last night, but I'm not going to lie, I was absolutely knackered. I think I got in, fell asleep, and woke up at like 5 o'clock this morning. So absolutely smashed in. So look, mate, look, it's always important. It doesn't matter the age. It's always important to celebrate somebody's, you know, when they're born, right? So it doesn't matter if it's a 50th, even if it's 52, 41, 18. It's always important to celebrate people's big days, right? So look, let's get into, before I do that, there is some interesting stuff that no one's spoken about Ineos. I think people have missed this. I've not, and I'm going to come into it because I think this is a interesting thing. I think it shows you what Sir Jim is like. It shows you what Ineos are about, and it's an interesting one. So look, Semenyo. I've always had this opinion on Semenyo. I don't think he's coming. I've never believed that Semenyo is coming. Never. You know, look, Fabrizio Romano, as we know, has been reporting on this, and Fabrizio, you know, when Xerxes to Roma as well, we will get onto that as well because I have made some notes on that as well because I've seen all that stuff as well. So look, Semenyo for me, look, when Fabrizio talks, we listen. Right now, I've purposefully not done the Semenyo stuff for quite some time because I've seen again when I've been away. I do the odd little investigation. I don't necessarily watch the content, but it's always nice to kind of see the thumbnails and the context of what people are saying. All I've seen for the last 3 weeks, channels with their thumbnails talking about Semenyo out, just basically recycling the same old shit. Now, I'm not going to do that, just as I refuse to talk about the transfer stuff. Now, I've been away, so I think it's fair that I do now talk about it because I've not spoken about it for quite some time. Scott says, to United is unknown fee to save United season. So, I don't do clickbait. I refuse every day to talk about the same fucking thing. Semenyo in, Semenyo out. But look, Fabrizio has been talking about it. So from what I saw this morning, Fabrizio basically said there's been more contact by the Manchester club to present the projects, to present the ideas and the financial potential for the player. Apparently Liverpool are not in that race. Spurs, I don't think we're in that race as well. Now, there are two views that I have on this. Number one is I don't think it's ever going to happen. I've never believed it. I've never believed. Look, are we in talks? Have we held talks? Potentially, right? So there are two things at play here. One, we have had a conversation with Semenyo. Number two, we are going to get snubbed. Okay, so I think it falls into two camps. One, we potentially will get snubbed, which is not the first time it's happened. Or second of all, look, we know what this club does. We know what this club is. And we know how much spin is involved in this club. You look at, we've drawn, we've lost to Villa, which, look, irrespective of how we've played, I also, before I started to talk about what I wanted to give credit to you guys for. Now, the Martinez thing, look, I was of the opinion that I don't understand when Martinez comes back. If Martinez is basically going to come back and be the same player. Now, when he come on in the defensive sort of a midfield position, I thought Martinez was brilliant. So look, you guys were right. I was hedging my bets. I'm a pragmatic person. I've got to go with the things that I see and what I think. One of my standoff positions on this was, will Martinez be the same player when he comes back? I was of the opinion that I don't think he will. But some of you said no, he's going to come back and he's going to be an absolute changer. I think you guys are right. I sometimes sit on the fence because I use too much information, based on the things I've seen, based on the things that I think, and I want to give somebody time to come back. You guys basically said, some of you said, no, he's going to come back. He's going to be fantastic. I've got to give you guys credit on that because I think you guys were spot on. Look, Martinez, I think will still take time. I don't think he's going to have the best games all the time. But look, you guys are right. I've been reading Fergie's book, right, and I will come on to it as well. But look, sometimes you've got to take a risk, and Martinez for me does epitomise this club. So I've never shied away from the fact that I think he's been a fantastic player. Never moved away from the fact that the attitude he has is right, because he's professional, and I believe that anywhere that Martinez goes, he will be that sort of player, right? He doesn't necessarily. It's not necessarily the badge. It's him as a person. So respect to that. So look, to go back, look, I will die on this hill. I don't believe that Semenyo is going to come. I've never believed that, for two reasons. One, why would he come to this mess? Look, when City come calling, right now, the state that we are in, look, if you look at the league table and people are still going to come on and still going to quote the league table, that we potentially can still get fifth, fourth, right? That we are, what are we? We are, I did have the Premier League table. We are seventh and we are currently 10 points behind Aston Villa. Look, forget top three. I've been saying this all season. I still believe we're going to finish 8th to 10th. On the basis of that, the only way I think that Semenyo comes at this point is this. We would need to do what we always do and offer more money than City. I think we would absolutely need to offer more money than them by quite some time, by quite some way. And we're not going to do that. Flabberjabber says, forget top three, forget top half, you mean. Look, mate, and again, welcome to the channel. We don't mind banter on here. I've been saying this. I think we finished between 8th and 10th. So look, I think that is basically where we are. But look, that can change. That can change. Scott said, I've seen something the other day that City have been found guilty. And we can come on to that. I will make a note of that as well. Look, guys, this is your opportunity. We've not been on in a while. I'll talk about stuff, but this is your chance to get in there about all the stuff that all the stuff that we've not had a chance to. But I will do an evening show tonight. God will says, hi, my friend. Hope you're doing extremely well. So look, Semenyo. I don't believe we were ever going to get him. I believe that this is spin. If you look at the results and the way that we've played, and if you follow different things, and the next thing I will go on to will be the reason why I don't think that we will get him. I think that this is spin. I've always believed that there is no money. Look, if you look at the Q1 financials, if you look at the end of year results, if you look at the projections for next season, if you look at what's been touted out there already, so let me go in that order. What's been already put out there is that United are not looking to do business. We traditionally don't do business. We've already been told that Labour and most sorts of signings are not going to be in this window. They're going to be pushed down. Okay, end of year results minus 36 million, which gives us headroom of 100 and I think it's headroom of something like 70 million, right? Ineos are not going to spend that money. They need a buffer just in case Amorim gets sacked. That's what we've been told. If you then look at the spin, because we've lost games, you look at Liverpool. Liverpool have lost so many games, but now they're 3 points ahead of us. How did that happen? I don't know. You look at the Q1 results. We made before taxation, before interest, before what was ever paid out, was 8 million. We then lost 7 million. So we've made losses. So my question is that if you do the math, if you look at the end of season, if you look at Q1 results, if you look at what we've been told, where is the money going to come from, and where are we going to spend this money? So look, I am of this opinion that this is spin. Every single season, this is what happens. Now look, if Newcastle on Boxing Day, if we lose that, as I've said, I have to be pragmatic and I will not budge on the fact that I think we finished between 8th and 6th. So look, I just want to say on the Semenyo stuff, where do we get this money and how do we convince a player with the results that we've had? Look, Semenyo played against us in the 4-4, right? how do we convince a player like that to come to us? It's all there. It's all there. Now I'll touch on Ruben as well. So Neves, who plays for El Hilal. Now he's refusing to sign a contract. So it was expected that Neves would sign a contract with Al Hilal. He's not going to do that. So apparently that's swirling around. Now there are rumours that the money for this player is around £15 million. Go and get that deal done. If this is true, but again, we've got to think about the Portuguese connection here. And this is my question to you: would you sign this player? So of all the players that we could sign now this player is an option. I'm still of the opinion, and I will be astounded to be proved wrong. I still think it's a Gallagher. Now the caveat to that for me is he played on the weekend and scored. My opinion is this: now it's going to be a singular player, a singular midfielder on loan or cheap, and that's it. We're going to get spin. Look, it is absolutely, as Dino has said there, and I will get into the chat. Every November, every December, it's spin. We do not do business in the January window, and I think, look, I almost think not everybody want to hear. I think there are two things that happen, right? Number one is we seem to have this memory between games whereby we almost have a brain fart, right? And what I mean is that we almost forget what's happened, right? We almost forget what's happened this season, right? It's almost like from game to game, a big chunk of fans forget what happened in the previous game, driven by channels, driven by the media, that we're going to win the next game. We're going to win the next game. We can finish third, fourth. We have to look at where we are. Chip Play says, hi, hello Tulip. I hope you are doing extremely well. It's almost like we forget every single season. It is spin, spin, spin. It is no value is in the market. Why is this season going to be different? Why is this season going to be different? We've made losses at the end of the year. We've made losses in Q1. Why are we going to sign players? How can we? Look, my question is, how are we going to afford these players? Unless they bring forward some of the cash. And people are also forgetting that there is this squad cost element to it, right? Squad cost comes in at the beginning of next season. If this club wanted to spend money, it could. But you can't spend money that you don't have. So look, I don't mean to be the bearer of this bad news. Negativity is not what I'm trying to do, but I think we need to be realistic. I think all this Semenyo stuff, the reason why I believe the majority of this fan base are so excited is because it's driven by other channels for clicks. If you look at logically, unless we chuck a bunch of cash at him, cash that we don't have, cash that this club has said that we're not going to do, why is Semenyo going to come? So look, that is the question that I want to put out there right now, is why would Semenyo want to come to this club? So look, I'm going to come on to the chat, and then we'll go on to some of this stuff as well. So let's get through the chat. Can we talk about my birthday, says Sir Jackie? Let's have a little look. Okay, United, Sir Jackie says United have a decent squad in all seriousness. They don't have the good tactics. And again, guys, like, this is your opinion on this one. I disagree with that. I think it's a combination of both. I still blame players. You always get consistency from me, and I do think I do think this team is I do think Amorim is starting to adjust, but I think he's only trying to adjust because he's got to. Ugarte for Galatasaray, I hope so. Flabberjabber says, yeah, we've done that. Pure May says, isn't Semenyo linked to every Big Six club at this point? Tottenham Hotspur for me looks like the perfect. Pure, he's already ruled that out. Semenyo has already ruled out Spurs. Scott says, I've seen something the other day. The City have been found guilty. Look, potentially they have, Scott. I mean, look, if it's true, the harshest punishment should be given. And look, as much as City, look, at the end of the day, we get banter. They banter us, we banter them back. If City get found 115, I think they'll get a slap on the wrist. I do. I think City are too powerful. I think their lawyers are too good. I think the FA, the Premier League are too shit. So I think City will get about that. And look, I'll always feel sorry for the fans. Dina says, I would be surprised if we get Semenyo with the rumours about him. Regardless, if City are found guilty, it will be a slap on the wrist. Dina says, top 4 is off the table. And I would say top 6 is now off of the table. Dina says, JB, beginning of November, you, Scott, Almasel said December would decide our season. January transfers will be loans or nothing. The rumour mill sounds like Ineos. Wolf news. Agree with you. Agree completely. We will lose that Newcastle game since Amorim is seeming to know everything which doesn't exist in his players. And look, you know, I hate predicting a loss, but I knew we'd lose to Villa. You know, it is every season, and I'll keep saying this on every single stream, right? I demand that we win the Premier League every single season. I demand that we will win the league. I demand that we get into the Champions League. I demand that we get to semi-finals of cups. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Not because I'm done, but these are the standards that we've set and we have to maintain. The fact that I knew that we were going to lose to Villa, the fact that I believe that the Newcastle game, I think that they're so inconsistent that that's a game that we can win, but I'd be happy to take a draw. It just goes to show the standards are awful. Defensively, we are so fragile without De Ligt. Dino, agreed. And he's been the one, by the way, that gets slaughtered. The media love to slaughter him. And it just goes to show when you have a player as good as that, that's what happens. On the bright side, Dan Fletcher's son had his debut, said Flabberjabber. BMA says, but why do you think you need someone like Semenyo, who is an inverted left forward, when you already got the likes of Kinya, Mount, who are already crucial to players? I'd be better to look for centre forward. I don't want Semenyo. The reason why I don't want him is not because I don't think he's a good player. We need a centre midfielder. Look, we need centre midfielders. Look, Semenyo is one of those players that you get if there's a chance. So look, there's a chance to get Semenyo. I think you've got to be in that race to get one of the league's best players at a good price. I think you'd be stupid not to. We don't need him. Like, do we need him? Yes. But we need centre midfielders. I don't know why there's a spider. I don't know why there's this rhetoric going around right now, which is diverting this fan base. Go and get a fucking centre midfielder. I can't express this enough. 65 million on a Semenyo is great. We need centre midfielders. If you chuck a centre midfielder in there, if you chuck 2 centre midfielders in there, the dividends that would pay would be ridiculous. Paying £65 million for a versatile forward player. If you're City, yes, because you're going to add players, but we are not that club. We need centre midfielders, and I don't understand the strategy of Ineos right now. Look, Semenyo, if you can get him, fantastic player, but we need different players. I'm with you. I would much rather set a centre midfielder, an experienced centre forward who can help Shesko. Jim says we can't sign who we want at CM. Might as well sign a left wing back Semenyo. Sign Anderson and Baleba in the summer. Ugarte is so bad. And look, sometimes we take a chance and they're not great. Ugarte was one of those ones that, instead of we let PSG go and get a Neves from Benfica, right? Ridiculous. Whoever was in charge of that, which we know who were, what a ludicrous, awful signing, and we wonder why we're in the state that we're in. Steven says, JB, what are your thoughts on Martinez coming on and being put into the midfield? Look, Dino, whether that can work long term, I thought it. Look, sometimes in life, decisions are made not by design but by luck. Martinez going into that midfield, I don't think was by design. I think it was luck. I think it was something that we had to do, and I think that it worked in that game. I wonder whether Martinez's body can withstand that position. It's needs must. It is needs must. I would much prefer him to go left-sided centre back, but whilst we are absolutely decimated, which we spoke about on here, and one of my concerns was if we don't get a centre midfielder and these centre midfielders get injured, we are screwed. So I think that Martinez could do a job, but I think it's rather luck rather than a plan. Ratcliffe needs to put his hand in his skinny jeans and pull out the card. Agree with you. If we want a right wing back, we should get a wing back. Better is better than what we have now. Doesn't look like we're getting a perfect Christmas present. Scammering out, says DJ Superfly. 39 watching through likes. Yes, guys, get in. Look, give us a like. Even if you don't favourite and subscribe, which is always fantastic. Just get in there with the likes. It really does help. Chill Play says, all wing back can't dribble or create. We don't need a right wing back. We need a left wing back. Could Saudi be in for Semenyo? Niche fan? No. Saudi could be, but I don't think he will. Chip Play says our best hope is 6th. No, top 5 is gone after the Villa loss. I will still maintain I'll be staggered if we don't finish between 8th and 10th. This guy says no, strip everything off, then that would mean Oli won the league. Messi or Cristiano. I'll always say this: Messi is a gift. Messi is an absolute genius, a gift. Cristiano is the epitome of Messi transcends a talent, right? Messi is beyond a talent. Messi is a gift. Messi is one of those players that you get every so often who is born to play. Is born to play a particular sport. Messi is beyond a talent. To say that he's a talented player does a disservice to Messi. Whereas Cristiano is a talented player, but is the epitome of somebody that works hard to basically fulfill and probably go beyond that potential. Church says it feels like every chance we concede a goal, opponents can't miss. Every opponent becomes as clinical as Noodle Hair Ronaldo when they play. One of the things I wanted to actually say in that, so Ruben did a press conference after, right? Now, again, you know my position. I am Amorim in. I am the manager in, because I think we need to do something different. I am starting to see something different, and I'm starting to see the conferences from him are getting better and better. The only thing that I saw from him that slightly annoyed me there are two things. Now, one, he basically said that on the defensive stuff that we've been consistent, and we're defensively consistent, and we're defensively better. However, he said that Rodgers, when he scored his goals, can play across the front line, and it's difficult, right? Ruben, you play three at the back. You play three defenders and wing backs. How the fuck can one player do that? Now, I'm just talking about from a logical perspective. Aston Villa at home, I said, haven't lost for 30 plus games. It must be 35, 36 games now, right? You're playing with a back three. Defensively, you are a shambles. Look, Heaven, I thought was good. Look, defensively, whether or not people thought that we played well, it doesn't matter. The Aston Villa game isn't the one that will determine where we finish. It's the Everton game, the Bournemouth game, the Spurs game. It's those games, the Forest games. Those are the games that will determine where we finish. It just bugged me. I desperately want Semenyo, as we would force a 4-2-3-1. There are no sims good enough that we can get in Jan. Look, Chris, and look, mate, it's difficult, right, Chris? I agree with you in terms of. Look, we need first team centre midfielders, but my caveat to that is Ugarte is dog shit. Casemiro is going to come to the end of his contract, and Bruno Fernandes is not a centre midfielder. We don't just need first team centre midfielders, we need another one or two as squad players. And when I say squad, I mean that, if we get two centre midfielders in and Casemiro goes, Mainoo potentially goes, and Fernandes goes, we'll have two, right? We need four. So whilst I agree with you, we still need to go get a Gallagher type. And I'm not necessarily saying him. We need a Neves type. We need a squad. So this is what I mean by, whilst I agree with you, we still need to go and get more players as squad players, but are not just squad players, but can actually come in and do a job. Chris says, if we can't get Semenyo, who would you get instead? I think we need centre midfielders. I would go and get a Neves, Ruben Neves. Look, as much as people may not agree with the signing, as a squad player at 28 in his prime, if his price is 15 million, go and get him. It is a no-brainer. If Gallagher is available on loan, go and get him as well. Look, just tide us over. Neves will be a very good squad player. That will tide you over, and then you've got Neves. You then have Casemiro, Mainoo potentially, and there is some stuff on him as well. Then you've got enough. Jabba says we can play the ball on the ground, can't keep it for more than two passes. Long ball is not working. And look, agree with you. Agree with you completely. Amorim doesn't trust that pivot. The balls that we're playing a very old school Wimbledon, a Bolton type. It doesn't work. Niche fan says, imagine Semenyo and Mbeumo on the wings, Ahmed as false nine, Cunha at 10. But that's not like how we play. Dino says, is somebody going to get worse with the AFCON approaching? Dino, the AFCON is here. The AFCON is here. Flo says Giggs was better than Messi. He wasn't, mate. Look, as much as I love Giggs as a player, look, I love Giggs. It's not true, mate. It's not true. Foden says Foden is the GOAT. Look, mate, if that's what you believe, that Foden is the GOAT, fantastic. I'm not going to agree with that, but look, I respect your opinion. Messi is the best. Foden is not that good. Foden is overrated. Gabriel says, hi, hello, my friend. Rogers, though JB is a player that, yeah, I don't, I don't disagree. I think he's a fantastic player. The point I was trying to make on that was Amorim was basically trying to say that defensively we were consistent, defensively we were good, but Rogers taught us a new one. Even though we're playing back three, Rogers was the best player. Gomez Neves fixes everything for peanuts. Exactly. Ugarte looks like we just dragged a random person on the street, put a shirt on, and kick the ball. Dino, it reminds me of what was that Southampton player that played and basically was it Dyer or whatever his name was, and basically Souness signed him. It was a fake agent, and he literally played one game of football and he was dog shit. We have to get Semenyo. If we get him, which look, niche fan again, you know that I will respect your opinion. I disagree. I think that Amorim is going to play a back three. Whilst I think that in these games he should potentially switch up the system. We are stacked at 10. Semenyo is a waste at wing back for me. Whilst I'm not going to disagree. I think a 4-3-3 right now would be a better position. We need centre midfielders. Flavia says, my nan would be good squad play too. She makes some mean gravy. Look, I think most of our nans would be better in this side than some of these players. Alex Murphy says, Semenyo going to Liverpool and negotiations taking place behind closed doors as we speak. And Alex, I do not disagree with you. I think Semenyo is always going to go to Liverpool. I do. The only man who can save our club is Keno. Nah, mate. Keno is not a manager. Now I'm done. I'm done with that ex-player stuff. Look, Keno, as a player, fantastic. His time with us ended not great. He's not a fan. Not for me. Semenyo won't come to us, but we need to keep dreaming about it. Who would you want? 898B2 says who would want to go to United? Look, and I think, as you guys have said, and I think it's really important to call you guys right, because I think you are. For me right now is we're not going to get the centre midfielders, the long-term ones now. What do we need to do? We need to go and get players who can be squad players, who are either going to be a loan signing, who we can potentially do a job. But look, we've had Sabitzer, we've had Amrabat. I don't want those signings, but I think we need, if we are going to get players, I think we need squad players. When I say squad players, I mean high quality squad players. Look, do we believe for a second, and I will come on to the Mainoo thing. Do we believe for a second that Mainoo was out injured? No. So that means that Casemiro is going to go. Mainoo is going to go. We need centre midfielders. So as it was said up in the chat, we're not going to be able to get first choice. So what we need to go do is be really smart and really shrewd. Neves, if that's true, 15 million, bargain. Those are the sorts of signings that we need to do. But our head has been spun right now, and we need to have a realistic view. And there's nothing wrong right now in building up these squad players. And I think that's what we need to do. Jordan says, I worry that we are going too fancy. We want all these European types. Aidan Morris from Borough would be a dandy. And look, Jordan, mate, I am with you. We need to be smart. We need to be smart. Phoenix Kelly said, what government help? Okay, I will. Okay, let me go on to that now. So look, I'm going to bring this into the show, and you can tell me what you think about this, because I think this is a relevant point, and I think it tells you everything that you need to know about Sir Jim, Ineos, and I think it tells you everything that you need to know. So look, over the last 3 years, it's culminated in Sir Jim, and let's prefix this with Ineos. And I've said this before, Ineos as a company are worth £36 billion, right? When we were talking about the stadium and we're talking about players and how we're going to fund the stadium, how we're going to do this stuff, because we don't have the money, we would have to loan the money, or somebody would have to come in and invest the money. So if we're going on the basis that nobody's going to help, how do we fund this? So the funding would have to come from somewhere. Now the funding would come from a loan, and where would you leverage that debt? Would you leverage it against Sir Jim? Sir Jim being a fan of this club, he could leverage the debt against himself, take on the personal debt, but he won't. The Glazers won't, and Ineos can't, because Ineos are in debt themselves, and there is no cash. So to back that up, over the last 3 years or so, Ineos, bearing in mind Sir Jim is billions of pounds, Ineos make 36 or they made 16 billion pounds, they're worth billions and billions of pounds, received state aid. So there's a site that they own, there's a plant that they own, that helps the country in Scotland, and over the last 3 to 4 years, that business hasn't been doing well. They've lost money hand over fist, and Ineos has basically received taxpayer state help to fund it. So they've received £70 million from us taxpayers to keep the business alive. So bearing in mind, that's a drop of a hat to Sir Jim. So we're talking about a person who built up the company. That's his company, and yes, you can argue that people invest in it, but it's Sir Jim's name on the door. And instead of funding it, because he can put his hand in his pocket, he's reached out to the government and received £70 million in aid from the taxpayer. Now, going forward, Ineos now seek investment into the same company, into the same site, so the Scottish site. So Ineos have basically got a £75 million government loan and £50 million grant. So therefore, instead of, again, Sir Jim putting his hand in his pocket, Ineos are doing so badly that they're needing to invest £150 million of money. £75 million of that. Now, I know that 75 and 50 do not add up to 150 million, but they've got 125 from a government loan and from a grant. So the grant is basically free money. So over the last 3 years, not only have they received taxpayer money of 70 million, they've now got a 75 million government loan and 50 million grant. This is the person that owns our club, who has billions and billions of pounds, 75 million pounds, 100 is peanuts to him. But this is the person that we are dealing with. Nice is a disaster. Ineos are not doing particularly well, to the point now where Sir Jim is having to get loans from the government, taxpayer money, to prop up a company, even though he's worth billions of pounds. Now, if you take that into this club, where are we getting the money from? This is a guy who is prepared to take taxpayer cash to fund a business. He's not prepared to put his hand in his pocket for a company that he built from the ground. Why is he going to invest money into this club? When we fund the stadium, this is what people don't seem to get. And this is a relevant point to the transfer window. You've got a guy that has billions and billions of pounds who's not even prepared to bail out a company, a site that he owns and that he bought. And of course, you can argue that this is more complex than just that, right? But I'm giving you it from a simple perspective. Why is Sir Jim going to buy players? The money isn't there. So this is, and again, this is a point that people miss. This is the person that we are dealing with. Now, he's prepared to use his connections. This guy's taken £70 million in state aid, has taken taxpayer cash to save a business. A £70 million to Sir Jim is a drop in the ocean, but billionaires don't put the hand in their pocket. It tells you that financially they are not doing well. And bearing in mind, Ineos and Sir Jim are the ones that are part owners of this club, and he's using connections to do the things that he wants to do. And this is a guy that owns our club. So why is he going to put his hand in his pocket? Now, no other channel really from what I've seen is talking about this stuff, because it's boring. They want to talk about, oh, we're going to sign Semenyo, we're going to sign this place. Everything is there for you to see. Everything is out there. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is not skint, but he's not the guy. Ineos are not that. So with the end of year results, Q1 results, where do we get this money from to sign these players? We are 1.2 billion pounds in debt. We have 600 million pounds in the transfer debt that we still owe. Where are we getting this cash from to sign these players? That's all I'm asking. But so that was a good question. But look, we will get on to the bits and bobs as well. I love Keno, but the ship has sailed. Glasner says he only plays 3-4-3 at Palace because the players, he would play a 4-4-2 at United. Not for me, Niche. Luke Shaw looks done. Time for the glue factory. Look, I've been saying this all season. Luke Shaw, for me, the fact that he's here shows what we found. Luke Shaw defies medical science. The guy's playing well. Luke Shaw has to play well for the next 18 months. World Cup, new contract. His contract ends in 2027. Luke Shaw, I guarantee you, is going to try and play and be in this team as much as he can because he's playing for a World Cup place and he's playing for a contract. Yulan says, what about Baleba? Baleba will come the end of season. Look, I will be flabbergasted. I will be prepared to eat my own words if this club pulls out some major signings. Without players, we are not going to finish in that top six. Scott says there are many players I want to. Yeah, I don't disagree. Baleba won't happen in January. Rob James, legend. United gave them big contracts on big money straight away. No hunger or desire. What's your thought on Matty Cash as a left back? Look, Rob, I agree with you. At this point, I want players who will come into this squad and work hard. The problem for me, Rob, is this. We think that if we go and sign these world-class players or these best-in-class players, right, that we're suddenly going to become good. Rob James says there, we need players. I wouldn't say no to that sort of player, because we need players right now, a mixture. We need a mixture of Premier League players, but we need these sorts of players as well. I don't disagree. He may not be a fantastic name, but I guarantee you he will work his bollocks off. So Rob, I don't disagree with that. Aidan Morris from Borough, I had that kit with Varane on the back. Yeah, this is a fantastic kit. Shea Lacey, the little cameo. JB thought he looks like a kid with bags of potential. Look, Shea Lacey, great player. My problem is, as I've been saying, is that we need a culture and a supportive team for these players to come into. We don't have that. If Shea Lacey was to come into this team permanently, not all of us, but this fan base would basically be, the expectation on him would be ridiculous. I like these players. I like Shea Lacey, but I want him to come in a supportive group. So let's see. Scott says F Ineos, F the Glazers. She's amazing. Doubt he's going anywhere. Jim is a Chelsea fan, not a United fan. Semenyo is great singing. Imagine him at left back over Dorgu. I think a new stadium is a bad idea. Look at Arsenal, dead for years. Everton, West Ham have done nothing for them. Only work for City because they spent very big. Look, Rob James, a stadium for me, I don't want it. I've seen so many fans and so many channels and so many different parts saying, oh, the stadium, I can't wait for the stadium. It's going to be great. Our home has been destroyed, but they're going to knock it down. How is a new stadium a good thing? I don't support it. I do not support the stadium. If it was a case of the Glazers had looked after the stadium and said, look, what we're going to do is we're not going to knock it down. We're going to keep it. But what we're going to do with it, we're going to do something with it that means it's going to be preserved, whether or not you build flats in it. But as long as you preserve it in a way that means that the building is still there. And if basically the Glazers said, look, we need a bigger stadium. We've looked after this one, but we need as a club to progress. And as a thank you to the club, we're going to build something new. We're going to respect it. I would get on board with that. I wouldn't be happy. The fact we have to not look, somebody's come into our home and destroyed it. We have got to move away because it has been destroyed. I'm sorry. I am appalled. I do not want a stadium. I want our home. It's been destroyed. If Jim was a United fan, he would have a season ticket and not Chelsea. Taxpayers don't need to be paying for it. It's a joke. It's true. Look, billionaires, the reason why they're billionaires is because they don't spend their money. This is fact. Sounds like with taxpayer foot the bill we do. I've been a United fan since birth and I'm starting to hate my own club. Liverpool fan here. We are having a bad season. United are having a brilliant season and we are still above you. Look, mate, we all I'm going to say to this is we are not having a brilliant season. Look, that's your view and I respect that view. I'm not going to disagree with that. We are not having a great season. Our season is awful. My only comeback to that would be Liverpool are having a bad season. So are we. But you're only 3 points. Look, it's going to be more than that, right? It's going to be more than that. And as I've keep saying on this channel, Liverpool, as much as they are the rivals. Don't sleep on Liverpool because Liverpool. Look, I've been saying this when your fans and when some of these channels, I've been going, Liverpool are awful. You've got too many good players not to be up there. Nobody buys his shit cars. It ain't helping either. I told you, JB, Sir Jim is United's version of Fagan. You got to pick a pocket or two. He should sell his stake in Mercedes F1. That's worth about 2 billion. Wolf just made a packet by sending some of his shares. Jaden says hi. Can I get a mod? Well, let's Jaden. Let's give you some time, my friend. I'm Football Reactions, the guy that wanted to make a vid. Football Reactions, the guy that wanted to make a vid. They're cool. Football Reactions. I'm Football Reactions, the guy that wanted to make a vid. Look, happy to make a video. Look, get onto my email. The email is in the description of the channel. Contact me, and I'm happy to do that. Hiring them by the thousands. Sanctuary says hi. One of the next mods will be Dino. Is Dino not a mod? Oh Jesus! Here you go, Dino, mate. There you go, mate. Dino, I thought that you was a mod, mate, but I'm here every stream that about me. I'm here every stream that about me. Look, mate. Yeah. Give me the Dino, mate. Dino, apologies, Dino. I actually thought that you was a mod. I do apologise, Dino. Dino, mate, you must have thought that I'm some kind of arsehole. Dino, mate, apologies. I thought that you were a moderator. Don't want the new stadium. Switch says OT is not structurally okay to stay up. That's why we can't just renovate it. And Switch, you're right. Switch, I'm not arguing that case. But it's what the Glazers have done to allow this to get there. I think, Switch, this was the plan. I think the Glazers have purposefully let our house rot. This is why Football Reactions. I don't understand, mate. I'm here every stream that about me. I don't get it. So I have, because yeah. Rob says big up JB. Well, if it's up to JB, if anyone will be a mod, next is Dino. Currently Liverpool is the best team in the Premier League. Disagree. Oh, you want to be a mod? Okay. Look, you've got to be on here for some time. Look, if you keep on commenting, okay, if you comment on the channel, if you get into the chat, when the channel gets bigger, I am going to need some mods. So look, all I'm going to say is, if you want to be a moderator, there's an email in the channel description. Send me your requests, and I will put a list together. And when the channel gets bigger and when we need more mods, then that's fine. Welcome to the new Dino, mate. I feel bad. Like Osman, we missed the trick. I agree with you. I haven't yet. I don't think they did it on purpose. I just think they didn't care enough to think about it. That's what you're saying too. Liverpool is currently here. Liverpool's current champions, they need to wake up, whereas United are several years away from a genuine look. Alex, we are light years behind. We are light years behind. Why is it every chance we get, we nose it up, take the upcoming window, we desperately need a midfielder, and we'll end up panic buying and just getting another winger? Hierarchy does not have a clue. Agree. So look, what's next? So we've done the Sir Jim thing. I wanted to put that out there. I think there are channels out there who are missing a trick. I would say that the channels are making a trick. Nick Arucci says, "Are you feeling confident for the January window?" No. I've said this, and you know me, I can be quite stubborn, and I'm going to die on this hill. Feel free to come at me, but I don't believe that we'll sign players. I think we get one loan player, and I think the injuries to this team will actually play into the hands of Ineos, because it means that Mainoo can stay. That argument is then done. And I think we sign one loan player and we don't do anything else. That's my view on that one. So let's get on to... so we've done the Martinez thing. We've done the Ineos thing, which I think people are missing on that one. Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo. How close is Semenyo to United? I don't think it's close, mate. I don't think it's close at all. I don't think it is. I think Liverpool, City. The lone player has to be Conor Gallagher. I agree with you. I think I've always said this. I think it's going to be Gallagher on loan, and that's it. Kobbie Mainoo. I want to ask a question first. So, do we believe that Kobbie Mainoo was injured? Now, Amorim in the press conference basically said that Mainoo, he played well. Again, the media are obsessed with this Kobbie Mainoo shit. I think Kobbie Mainoo was punished. I think, and just remember this, go back to the videos that I've been saying this for weeks and weeks and weeks now. Gallagher or nothing. I don't believe Kobbie Mainoo was injured. Pepper Does Gaming says, do you think United need a new centre-back, possibly on loan if De Ligt? We need a centre-back, we need a wing-back, we need centre midfielders, and we need another striker. The priority for me is a centre midfielder. Centre-back, yes. I think that team needs 6 players. Centre-backs, De Ligt can't be. We can't fall apart without a player. If that happens, we're screwed. And we are. So I agree with that. Kobbie Mainoo. You tell me, do you think Kobbie Mainoo was actually injured? I don't think he was. I think Kobbie Mainoo was punished. I think Kobbie Mainoo was punished for and even though Amorim did say that, he shouldn't be punished for the brother's actions, I do agree with that. The more that I read, the more that I listen to it. Kobbie Mainoo shouldn't be punished for something that happened. That wasn't anything to do with him. I think his head is not right. Agree with you. I just think Kobbie Mainoo doesn't want to play. There is also now rumours that Kobbie Mainoo is going to be forced to stay. It's difficult. So the reason why this is now difficult for me is this. Bruno Fernandes is going to be out for a month. Casemiro, I believe, is out. Ugarte is dog shit. So that leaves us with potentially a Kobbie Mainoo, Ugarte, and maybe you could fit someone else in that number 8. We desperately need a midfielder. Do I think that Kobbie Mainoo should leave or go on loan? Yes, because after the way that this club has treated that player, if I was him, I would be like, I'm not playing anymore. Why should he now buckle because we need a player. This guy hasn't played. Now I do have some caveats to that, but I'm just giving you one side, and I'll give you a different side as well. One side is Mainoo has been treated like dog shit. Mainoo hasn't played. Why should Kobbie Mainoo then come back into this side and be expected to play? The other side of that is this: because you are a United player. Whether you like it or not, you signed a contract. Right? That is the first thing. Whether you like it or not, you were happy to sign a contract. It works both ways. You sign a contract, you play for this club. Secondary to that is how many of our players, O'Shea, Park, you could name a plethora of players. They put the club first. Kobbie Mainoo would get his chance. My point here is this: whilst this is a different climate for players, and I fully, and again, I don't disrespect anybody, there has to be an acknowledgement is if you are not playing this player, let him leave. You're not playing him. You have stunted his growth for 18 months. And if I was him, I would want to leave. And that would be the correct thing to do. If you're not going to play for this club, the other side of me, this is going back. And maybe I am wrong in this, but there are so many players littered throughout this club who have always put this club first. McClare, Park, O'Shea, Wes Brown, there's Nicky Butt. These players have been players and put this club first. Times have changed. So I'm not expecting him to do that, but I'm just putting that argument there. There are 2 points. Number one, are you a United player, a fan? Then you get ready for when you're called upon. Second of all, Kobbie, you signed a contract, mate. You know, you're more than happy. These players are more than happy to take the money, to take the stature of playing for this club. When this club says you're not going, you don't go. The other argument is this: look, we've treated this kid like shit. He deserves a career. Let him go. So look, I think it's a situation that's been created by the club. It is a toxic situation, but I expect nothing less from this club. Let's get on to your chat before I go on. This guy says we need 2 centre backs, 2 centre midfielders. I agree with you. 1 striker and 1 left wing back. I would like to know what's happened behind the scenes with Kobbie. There has to be something. There is something. There really is. City are just going to say Semenyo's agent, we will be exactly our offering. They will also give him a free first-class travel on Emirates. Mainoo was just pulling a sickie. I do agree. Do you think Kobbie Mainoo should go on loan? I do. Hits Me God says hello. I like the look of Martinez in the midfield. How do you feel about that? Look, if it's a stopgap, yes, I think he has to play in there. I thought he was fantastic in there. Whether he can do it for a long term, I don't know, but I wouldn't be opposed. Do you think Mainoo situation will lead to a Rashford top? Dino, yes. I think that is what we've got now. I do. If City are found guilty, then I would say a massive point deduction, remove all their titles, and when the money scandal started and a 4 windows ban is good for me. I hope so. The Karuchi says it's also very unprofessional for Mainoo to be pulling a tantrum. It's not like he's not getting paid, but agree we haven't treated him nicely. City, by the letter of the law, should be. I agree with you, Dino. They should go down. 4 window ban would never happen. Their lawyers are the best in the world. I do agree with you on that one. That is. what happened to City's charges? Who knows? Look, it could take years. City's lawyers are brilliant. This is not about whether City, look, the Premier League have shown the City haven't acted correctly, but it's what you can prove. There is always someone bigger and better out there. Exactly. Chinese says hi. John says hi. United must sign Ruben Neves. Why sign him? He knows the league inside and out from his Wolves days, and as a fellow countryman, he understands Amorim's tactical language. He offers world-class passing. And look, and for 15 million, let's not forget, 15 million pounds would be a bargain, would be an absolute sniff. Alex Murphy says, I want City stripped of all titles, dumped out of Football League, Pyramid, obviously what won't happen. And look, Alex, if 115 is found to be correct, then the highest penalty needs to happen. I know what you mean, but there's always someone out there who's better. Remove your fans hat off. He should leave and go and play football. Miss Bunny, look, I've given 3 opinions here. First opinion is Kobbie Mainoo should go. The young lad should be able to go. However, there is a contract here. Look, Mainoo, whether I like it or not, there is a contract in place. And if we need players now, tough. He's got to stay. However, if I was Kobbie Mainoo right now, I'd be annoyed. Look, players need to realise that they are part of a squad, part of a team. This club has so many players, and look, I fully appreciate the time has changed. Players now play for themselves. Players now are all about brand, right? But I think Kobbie Mainoo should leave. I have to give balanced opinions, and I've got to give. I'm not the sort of person who's like a certain person or certain people from other outlets, right? Who would give you one opinion. I'll give you my opinion, but I have to give you the balanced view. However, my view is Kobbie Mainoo, we've stunted his growth for 18 months. Send him out on loan and bring in players. Like, I would say send him out on loan, get your fucking hands out of your pocket and go and sign some players. Totally agree. I've wrote free Kobbie on front of my pajamas is wonky donkey. Mainoo's brother doing the shirt is unacceptable behaviour, and he definitely... Miss Bunny, I think it's a... I don't know. It's difficult. I think that Mainoo behind the scenes has been punished. Did he just mention Park? That was an epic performance in the Champions League. Not what was Fergie thinking. It's Ruben Neves worth signing. Look, I think for £15 million, yes. Like, share, and subscribe. Exactly. JB, what's your address so I can send you some birthday cake? I'd love to, mate, but of course I'm not going to give it out on here, mate. I think people would try to hunt me down and kill me. Mainoo's still young for his career to take off, but he just won't be at United. I agree with we'll do a McTominay and performance for another team. Ferguson would have booted him out the club in the next window. I agree with you. Neves in Jan and Belaber in the summer. Grace, I am on board. I'm on board with that completely. I do miss McTominay. The boy just built different and always fancies crack at goal. Don't respect my Jackie. I'm sure your birthday cake is delicious. I'm just not going to give out my address. Xerxes, look, final thing to say. Xerxes, apparently Roma, we value Xerxes at 50 million. Roma have basically offered 40 million. So the 40 million is comprised of a £5 million loan, an option to buy of 30 million, and if they get into the Champions League, that's 5 million. Do I think there are legs on this? Yes, I do. We're dreaming. If we think we're going to get 50 for him, we are not going to happen. Not going to happen. Do I think it's a typical Italian team loan? If they're offering 40 million, give us 35 up front, and 5 million. Like, I'm not doing this 30 million up front and then 3 million because he scratches his nuts, 2 million when he drinks a cup of tea. Look, give us 35 million plus 5, and he's yours. Grace says, do you think Amorim likes technical players like Xerxes and Mainoo? I think he prefers runners. Agreed. I do. I think he needs energetic players who are prepared to run up and down the pitch. I think he likes a certain amount of technical plays, but Amorim's way is based on a sort of Klopp system whereby he wants players that can run. Just baffles me why the player not given a chance or deemed good enough, then move on and become a world beater. Is it smart to let Xerxes go on loan to sell when we don't have a backup striker? And Nicaruzzi, this is it, right? This is it. If we let Mainoo go, hello, I'm Korean. Hello, I can't read your name because I don't speak Korean. Scott says, why the F does he like a Delo and Shaw? Portuguese connection, right? Yeah, I am Jamaican. Grace, legend. Grace is a legend of this channel. But look, if we're going to get rid of Xerxes, if we're going to get rid of Mainoo, we need players. Delo is the best player in the world. That's why, says Grace. So look, it is going to be fascinating the next couple of days. I will be back on this evening. I will do a Newcastle preview as we always do this. So I will do a Newcastle preview tonight. I will do a tonight show, a late show, and we'll come on to that as well. And look, just bring in your thoughts of this. So look, guys, it's amazing to be back. I've missed this. If anything does break, I will be back on because I've not done streaming for ages. Grace says, did you see Keno going on Delo for not defending the cross? How dare he? Who does he think he is, Grace? I love that. Fantastic. So look, guys, I'm going to go. Amazing stream. Absolutely missed this completely. You guys are legends. Absolute fantastic chat. As always, brilliant to be back. Biggest thank you for coming back on. Glad that you've not forgotten me, which is fantastic. Greetings from the Bay Area of California, says Kev. Mate, I love it. I love it. Thank you, my friend. I'm from South Sudan. Where's OJB again? Look, Dino, I should have done it before. I thought I did, and I apologise. But look, guys, I will be back this evening. I may be back before in case anything does break. We forgot you, but nobody else is. Thanks, Grace. Thank you. I appreciate that as well. Yeah, I will be back tonight. Have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, wherever you are. I will be back if anything else does break. So yeah, look, guys, looking forward to the show tonight. I'll be doing a review of the game on Boxing Day. So yeah, see you tonight. Have a good one, and see you very, very soon. Take care.